All right. Hello and happy Friday to you all. It's so exciting to be going live on our account today for the first Friday of American Diabetes Month. This year's theme is Today's Diabetes Hits Different. For everyone who's joining, my name is Abby Bornemeyer, and I'm the social media and digital events manager here at the American Diabetes Association. Today, I am joined by our very special guest, Jay Young, MDK. I'm sure many of you know who he is, but we're really excited for him to be here today and share a little bit about his music journey and his diabetes journey as well. So get ready to be inspired and learn how diabetes hits different for Jay. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Jay. Jay, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you guys doing? I'm doing great. Happy
I'm doing
Friday.
well. Happy Friday. We're so happy to have you here today and have you here sharing your story for American Diabetes Month. So
Well, I'm
thank you
I'm I'm
so much.
excited to be here, and I'm excited to meet you as well, Abby.
Thank you. Well, everyone is so excited to learn about your journey with diabetes and just really get inspired and connect with you as well through today. So, would you mind just sharing a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so my name is J Young MDK. That's my artist name. Jermaine Carter is my real name. Originally from California. I was born in Fresno, California. Originally, I lived in New York City for a couple years, and I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia. So a little bit of best of all worlds is what I would call it. I'm a singer, rapper, songwriter, actor. So just all around entertainer. That's what I love. I love watching sports. Football is my favorite, then basketball, and yeah, that's a
Awesome.
little
Well,
bit about me.
thank you. And so I have to ask too. So, how long have you been doing music for?
I've been doing music since I love music ever since I was a kid. Like I used to roll around with my mom and like in a little car. It was hot with the windows down, just rolling, getting breeze, and just listening to the radio all the time. Like that was our pastime. But whether it was like going from the house to school or to the grocery store or whatever it was, like my mom always was playing music when I was young. So I fell in love with music early, and I always, ever since I can remember, like 5 years old, I was like writing raps already at a young age. So, but I didn't start getting serious until I would say like um, junior year in high school.
Okay, wow. That's you so you have been involved in the music world too for a long time,
Oh
even
yeah,
even as
ever
a
since I was a
child.
kid, yeah, I love
That's
music.
awesome. And what would you say inspired you to start creating your own music then? Would you say like growing up listening to it with your mom and everything?
Yeah, growing up listening to it, and I always did it on the side. Like, if you asked me originally, I wanted to be like in the NFL, so that was my dream and my hopes and everything. But I always like did music as like a hobby to begin with, and then it became the main thing. As I got older, it started getting bigger, and the opportunities started getting bigger, and I was like, wait a minute, maybe I was not meant to be in the NFL. Maybe I was meant to be a rapper, singer, or actor, or something in entertainment, and it started working like that for me.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for that background information too. And, today we're here too also to talk a little bit about diabetes. So I would love to hear just if you could share a little bit about what your diagnosis was like and when you were diagnosed, because I know it was pretty recent, right?
Yes, so I was diagnosed 2 years ago with type 1 diabetes. And when I first learned that I had diabetes, it was heartbreaking for me, because I really wasn't familiar with diabetes at all, to be honest with you. And then people would look at me and be like, you? Like, that's why I'm not going to say I love the fact that I have it, but I love the fact that I'm able to talk to people about it, because I'm not the person that you would typically think would have diabetes with everything that I got going on or the way I look or anything, right? So when I first got diagnosed, I was like, oh my God, I was crying, because it was like during the pandemic. Uh, the signs were like I was extremely thirsty. I mean, literally, I was going through like a 12 pack of water a night, just laying by my bed, wondering like, why am I so thirsty? Like, and it's not quenching my thirst, and having to use the restroom a lot, and just very fatigued and tired and everything. So, I went in. They told me that I was type 1 diabetic. They were like, "Is anyone in your family type 1?" I was like, "Not, or do anyone in your family have diabetes?" I was like, "Not to my recollection." And yeah, I was the first one. And after they started educating me on it, I started feeling a lot better about it because they were like, "Oh yeah, you can still live." Because I thought it was like a death sentence. When someone tell you that, it's like, wait, what did that mean? And especially when you're not educated on it, you're just like thinking the worst. So that's how it was initially. And then, like I said, they started educating me, and and it became better. I got my insulin, and and just started getting my meter and readings, and learning a little bit about carbs, and the things that I'm putting in my body, and what's gonna spike my diabetes and make it worse, and what's gonna make it better. Because when I first went in, it was terrible. It was off the meters because I didn't know I had it. So I was just doing whatever I wanted to do until I went in.
Wow, that's a lot to take on, especially too in the middle of a pandemic. You get your diabetes diagnosis and you're like, where do I go? What do I do? Um,
What? Right.
that's a lot. That is truly a lot. I mean, the pandemic was enough for a lot of people, and to have that be taken on as well,
Packed
that's
on
a
top.
lot. But I'm glad to hear though that you're doing well and everything. But you talked a little bit too, like about what was going through your mind, a little bit when you were first diagnosed, you thought it was like a death sentence. You didn't know much about it and everything too. But did you know much about type 1 diabetes, or did you just kind of know like did you just kind of know
I
about
didn't
type
know
2
anything
before?
about type 1
Okay,
diabetes when I got diagnosed. Like literally, I didn't know. I just knew it was like you see it, but it's like when things don't affect you, it's like you don't see it the same.
right.
And that's pretty much where it was with me. And I didn't have any family members that I knew that had it, so it really didn't affect me at all. It would just be like you would see diabetes, and I would associate diabetes with like, okay, you're not eating right, or you're obese, and things like that. Like I didn't look at it as like, oh, this is type 1, and it's like more so genetically or whatever it is. I didn't look at it like that. I looked at it more so like, oh yeah, you choose to be that way because of your eating habits, or you choose to be that way because you don't want to, work out or something like that. But of course, I caught it, and I started reading and educating myself on it, and it's like, oh no, it's different ways of getting it, and yeah.
For sure. No, I think people don't realize that, especially too, until they know someone who has diabetes or until they get it themselves. Then they finally start to realize, like, I didn't just do that to myself. There's so many other factors that are involved
Right.
with it. And that's what we're working to on at the ADA is just really trying to spread the word about that too. And getting people more comfortable too to sharing their stories. So thank you for your willingness and openness on sharing your diabetes story with everyone here today.
Oh, no
We really
problem.
appreciate it. And I know it takes a lot for some people to be open about it because it's hard. It is hard for sure.
Absolutely. It's
Oh
not
no.
easy.
No, it's not easy. So that brings me to my next question. So, you're just diagnosed not too long ago. Have you experienced any mental and physical challenges associated with your diabetes at all?
Absolutely, especially at the beginning, because like when you think about the mental challenges to going from living one lifestyle to like, okay, I could party whenever I want to, I could do it, eat whatever I want to, I could do whatever I want to. I'm healthy in my mind, like there's nothing wrong with me. I'll live forever, in my mind, and then to get diagnosed, it's like, wait a minute. So now you're panicking, you're like, what's gonna happen? So even to this day, it's still not, I'm not gonna say it's easy for me. I don't want people to think like, oh, this is just a piece of cake. No, I have my days where I wake up and it's mentally challenging, or I may be drained or more exhausted than normal. It's just like, I still have my days. So that's mentally and physically. And then I know at the beginning I was having a terrible Like my vision was blurry. I remember when I felt like I was going blind when I first, was diagnosed, because it was that bad. And I remember like crying about it, like driving my car and everything looking blurry, to where I was like, oh my God, like am I gonna lose my sight? And then I started talking to people, and they were like, no, you just have to manage your diabetes. You have to get your numbers down and your vision to come back. And I was like, okay, because I wasn't like completely blind, but it was like literally every light looked so blurry, and I
That's
couldn't
so
see the street sign.
scary.
It was extremely scary to go from this to that fast. I was like, wait, what's happening?
Mhm.
So they were right. Once I got my numbers down, it was like, oh wait, now my vision's get coming back. Oh, okay, now I'm good. So it was like a week or two that it was blurry, to where it was like, oh my God, this is never gonna go away. And I know I had 2020 eyesight too before that. So yeah, it was scary.
It's a lot to take on.
Oh
But,
yeah.
oh, wow. So that brings me to, how do you manage your mental health throughout living with diabetes?
I think with me so far, or for the most part, like I know I do music, which is therapy for
Mhm.
me. I mean, I feel like my career, a lot of my career is like therapy for me. You
That's
know,
awesome.
that's one thing. I also have a daughter named Giselle, and that's another blessing as well, because family time with her. It's like, kids are so beautiful that once you're like, once you see them, it's like you forget about your problems a lot of the times, and they don't care about that. They're just like, hey, this is what I did today, or this is what I'm trying to do, or look at this picture I drew, or this, like, so they like kind of take over your mind a lot of the times. So that's another way. And just enjoying myself. It's like, I never in life consider myself a victim, no matter what happens. I'm always the person that's just like, okay, what's the solution? That's like the slogan I live by. It's a couple things, right? But when it comes to life, it's like, what's the solution? It's like either I can sit here and I can feel sorry for myself, or want the world to feel sorry for me, or I can find a solution. No matter what problem you have in life, at some point, whether it's in one day, whether it's in one week, whether it's in a month, whether it's in a year, you got to find a solution, or you're still going to be stuck in the same place. So at the end of the day, what's the solution? So that's how I pretty much feel about it, and that's what's helped me through everything.
Absolutely. I love that. What's the solution? I think that's great advice for anyone in their diabetes journeys, or just anyone in life in general. Life throws you these obstacles, but we have to keep going. We have to keep moving forward. So, what's the solution going to be? So, I
Absolutely.
love that. And it sounds like you're doing a great job, and we're so proud of you here. So,
Thank you.
keep doing it. Keep rocking it. You're doing great. So,
Thank you.
uh, you're welcome. So I know you've been living with diabetes now for around 2 years or so. So you've probably still experienced some differences, I would think. So what is there a moment that you experienced since your diagnosis that you realized my diabetes was different from right away when I was diagnosed? Maybe did you get a CGM or some sort of technology that made you realize this isn't so bad, or just made things a little bit easier?
Yeah, just like the glucose monitors and different things, definitely make it easier. I could imagine like how diabetes probably was, like, let's say in the 80s, 60s, even the 90s and early 2000s versus now. It's like we have so much more information,
Mhm.
and so many different products and just different things that can help us like manage it a lot better, like knowing your numbers now versus like feeling terrible and then knowing your numbers and being like, we could be, we're it's like more proactive instead of reactive.
Definitely. No, I agree with that. And just hearing the conversations from all these different people that we talk to, like everyone's journeys are so different, and hearing, all the advancements that have happened over the years, it truly has made things, I think, a lot easier, not necessarily completely easier,
Right.
but we're moving in the right direction. And
A
I
little
think
better.
things will, you know, overall start to get better as we move forward. I'm just looking here in the comments now too, and it looks like some other people are are commenting. Someone said once they got their on the tandem pump and Dexcom, life got a lot more manageable. So that's always good to hear too. I think a lot of people can relate to that. But what would you say? What is something you wish you would have known at the time of your diagnosis that you know now that you
Hmm.
could share with everyone?
That I wish I would have known. That I guess just that, like having my mental at ease, knowing that it's gonna be okay, knowing that it's not as bad as I think it is, knowing that I'll be able to survive it as long as I manage it. I think that was important on the mental health side of things because when I first got diagnosed, like I'm telling you, I cried. It was terrible. I thought I was gonna like pass away. I really did. And yeah, it was just it was extremely scary. So I would say I would just like be happy, and I would tell myself then like, okay, you're gonna be okay.
Everything's gonna be okay. I
Right.
love that. Exactly. You still will be able to do everything that you did before you had diabetes. You
Right.
still can do it all, and you can
Exactly.
still keep chasing your dreams like you're
Oh yeah.
doing, which is
That's not gonna
awesome.
stop.
And then do you have any advice for people too who are maybe just newly diagnosed or like the parents of children who are newly diagnosed now with diabetes that you'd like to share?
Just take it seriously and monitor everything, monitor your numbers and oh, I would say get a great support system around you. That would be the biggest thing. Like, from the food that you're gonna get to the people that's there, that's like holding you accountable. First of all, hold yourself accountable, because no one could hold you accountable if you're not holding yourself accountable. But also get the people around you that you trust to hold you accountable and say, "I don't eat that," or or "Oh, did you check yourself?" Like, like build your community, build your team, to and be comfortable with discussing it. The more you discuss it, the more you put it out there, the more people can help you. The more people can see you like, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. So that's
Definitely.
that's what I would say.
That's great advice, I think, too. It's so important. I know a lot of people want to just keep, their diabetes journey to themselves and don't want to talk
Right.
about it with other people, but you can't keep all of that bottled up inside. You have to have that support system. It's crucial. And people want to support you and are there for you. They care about you. So, whoever that is, definitely make sure to find that support system. And here at the ADA too, we're always here to support you, anyone who's living with diabetes. So we're just a reach away. So
Oh yeah.
anytime. um,
Absolutely.
so now my last question too, and it kind of goes with the theme. So you could take it two ways. Is just in your words, how do you think diabetes is different? Like it could be, not just your journey, but overall how diabetes is different from over the years, or some of the things that you've learned. But how do you think diabetes is different today?
I think like we said a little bit earlier, it's just like
Hmm.
the communities, the people like you guys, at ADA that's like willing to help and willing to like that set up those communities and the knowledge. Like what we're doing right here is we're spreading the word, from my platform, your platform, and everyone else that's going to be a guest on here, and the people that's in the comments that's giving advice. Like it's a lot more active. It's bigger platforms. It's more information, like I said
It's a
earlier.
community,
It's the community. You
truly.
can
Yeah,
tell, and everyone care.
you can.
Everyone like actually care, and people that survive in it are willing to give the information to help the next generation and everyone else. So I feel like that's how it's different. It's more knowledge behind it as well.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. And one more comment too. Someone else mentioned that they learned that type 1 diabetes was not a death sentence, and that helped them to accept it more and relax a lot more too. So, just living with it too, I think you learn more as you go along, and you get more comfortable with it as well, and have
Absolutely.
with that support system. So it's good to hear too that other people are realizing it too, and that they can still live their lives fully,
Same time.
which is awesome. So, Jay, this has been amazing. Thank you, thank you. And just a few takeaways too as we wrap up. Everyone who's listening, diabetes has changed. It's going to continue to change. But
Evolve.
just remain, yeah, it's going to continue to evolve.
Mhm.
Exactly. Just continue to remain focused though, and don't let diabetes change you or where you're going in life. Just you live with it. Just keep chasing your dreams and don't let that hold you back. You can still do anything you dream of, just like Jay has done and continues to do. Diabetes is a journey, and no journey is the same. So it's not something to be ashamed of either. And we want you all to share your stories. So I encourage everyone who's listening to share your story just like Jay. You can
Absolutely.
visit our blog page at diabetes.org/blog. You can submit your own story there, or feel free to just DM us on Instagram, Facebook, any of the platforms, and share your story with us that way as well. And what better time to reach out than now during American Diabetes Month? Where this month we're really focusing on sharing as many stories as possible, um, all throughout the month. Young kids, older people who've lived with it for so many years, people who are newly diagnosed. Just to
Right.
show the vast difference in diabetes over the years and how today it hits different. So, Jay, we would love to have you back sometime again in the future and
Anytime.
update us. Awesome. But for now, I mean, I think that's about it. And this has
Well,
been amazing.
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Jay, is there any way you could mention to how people who are tuning in right now could follow along on your music and diabetes journey?
Um, J Young MDK. That's all of my social media handles. So it's just straight like that. And yeah, they could just check me out, Instagram, anywhere, Facebook, just J Young MDK. Give me a follow and be inspired. When you see me out there going and not stopping, not slowing down, continuing to fight, just know that I'm diabetic as well. So yeah.
And they can listen to your music on Spotify as well,
Oh yeah,
for
listen to the
sure.
music on Spotify, Apple Music, go to YouTube. Everything's J Young MDK.
And get inspired
I
by
have
that.
a real special song that I'm gonna release on 11/11. It's called Grandma's House, and
Ooh,
it's a holiday. It's a holiday song. It's like Thanksgiving and Christmas, and me
that's very
reminiscing on all of
exciting.
the years, of the holidays at your grandma's house. So
I love that. We'll be sure to listen to it next week. We're so excited. That's
absolutely, I'm excited
awesome.
as well.
That's very exciting news. But thank you so much, everyone, and be sure
Thank you
to
guys for having me too. And
of
thank you
course.
to Leslie as well over at Upscale for linking us and yeah, thank you guys for
Yeah,
having me.
we greatly appreciate it. And everyone too, before we log off, just be sure to visit diabetes.org/hits different for the latest information on how you can get involved to this American Diabetes Month. There's a lot of different opportunities and stories on there for you to check out. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. Happy Friday and
Happy
enjoy
Friday.
enjoy your weekend too, everyone. Thank you.